place at the right time. That's all I can tell you. And Ulosophy would take care and handle the spiritual side. We go ahead and handle the mindset side. The concept, we drill into you the concepts that the high and elite did not want you to know, and they are born with it. That is why bloodlines have happened throughout history. And then comes the financial side, which is hex.com, Pulse-Chain, Pulse-X, Richard Hart projects. These things are going to change the world. You know, I was told long ago that whatever has more controversy, usually that's the thing that they don't want you to do. Hex.com. And then we have the gathering side. We ask you to get together as a group. We ask you to be as a community. We ask you about membership. You do not have to be alone.
How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's in good spirits. You know, I hope everybody is in a positive mood. I say it over and over again. First thing you do in the morning, just one thing, at least one thing. Think about one thing that you're grateful for. Put your life in perspective. Because trust me, your life is way better than what you think it is. You know, there's people who unfortunately were just told or are going to be told today that they have 6 months to live. There's people who are just not going to make it through the end of the day. There's people that are going to go ahead and, you know, have a big argument with their spouse or with their husband, and they're going to say, here's the divorce papers. You have to put life in perspective. General Patton, that's why I love General Patton. Even though there's a rumor that he hated Mexicans. You know, I'm Mexican American, so my roots come from Mexico. My parents, all my family were born in Mexico, so I support Mexico. I love Mexico. Mexico's my blood, right? That's it. That's nothing, no one can take that away from me. Anyway. General Patton, I love General Patton. I study General Patton to the T. I have stacks like this of General Patton's quotes, General Patton's military strategies, General Patton's successes, General Patton's losses, General Patton's great achievements, etc., etc. But my point is that General Patton said something that has changed my life forever ever since I heard it, and I'm gonna give it to you. And that's compared to war. You gotta understand, General Patton was in World War II, fighting Nazis, fighting Russians, fighting Japanese, mainly Japanese and Russians, fighting Italy, fighting, nothing but brutal, gruesome gore, blood, intestines flying, legs flying, heads getting chopped off, with one single bullet. I mean, it was ridiculous, right? So General Patton's seen it all. Imagine, put yourself in General Patton's shoes when he was alive. He got close to people. He loved people. And some of those people died. He will never see them again. Because if you look, one thing I always go ahead and tell people that, if they want to go ahead and get into, trying to learn something more about life, trying to make their life better, I tell them something very simple. I don't even tell them to read. I tell them, look, man, listen to a podcast. Listen to a positive podcast, and you'll get so much from it. It'll be unbelievable, right? And if you need me to go ahead and guide you to a good podcast, I will definitely will, and I will probably get you to tell you to go ahead and watch mine, because I'm not with, excuse my cursing, I'm not with the effery. I'm here to tell you what it is, what it's going to be. If tomorrow I know that the world's going to end, I'm going to tell you the world's going to end tomorrow. And this is what we need to do. Get with your family, try to not think about it as much, although it's impossible, right? But what else can we possibly do? There's a point in life where acceptance is freedom. Once you accept something, that's when it becomes freedom. Think about it. Think about it. God forbid you get into a car crash. Hopefully you're not hurt, but even if you're hurt, or the other person's hurt, or whatnot, or whatever happened, it happened. There's nothing that we can do about it. There's nothing that we could cry a million tears. We could go ahead and scream to the top of our lungs. We can go ahead and say we're crazy. We can start acting in crazy ways. We can start violence, which should never be done. If you got your mentality right, that's the last thing you should do. There's Marines who have been pushed. They've been pushed. People trying to fight them. And you know what they do? They leave. They'll be like, they leave. It's okay, you won. I'll leave. Why? Because that Marine will whoop his ass so bad, he might even hurt him permanently. That's the last thing you want. Anyway, back to General Patton. General Patton said, compared to war, nothing in life, nothing in life, no obstacle, no problem, no situation, no challenge, no matter how bad it is. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst thing could have happened to you. Compared to war, life compared to war is what was the word he said? It's insignificant. Think about it. Think you're in a war. You got a gun. You got some people behind you, got some people in front of you. You're looking nonstop, because at one point, if you miss a look and you see an enemy, they will shoot you right dead. Imagine seeing people that you've grown a bond to just die. Got his whole damn stomach blown up. Imagine blood flying in the air. Imagine guts flying in the air, legs, heads. Gruesome shit. Gruesome stuff, man. When it comes to war, any problem, any challenge, any situation in life is insignificant. I know, yes, if we have a loved one that passes, it hurts us. I know if we have a very bad day, if we got fired, it hurts us. I know that if something happens that you can pay your car note, you can pay your mortgage, you're about to lose it, it hurts. But compared to war, where you're with a gun and you're trying to look for the enemy and the enemy is trying to look for you, and both of you are trying to kill each other, and there's no one to help, and there's no one to call. There's no one to call to help. There's no like, hey, look, hey, I'm over here in the bushes on so and so coordination. I need help. No, ain't nobody coming to help. There's no police department. There's no fire department. There's no department of the naval intelligence. No, this you is you and the enemy. Compared to war, everything else in life, and that's the exact quote used. Compared to war, everything in life is insignificant. Which means put yourself in perspective. We are blessed. We've never been in combat. Some of us have, right? But most of us have not been in combat. We don't know what combat is. We don't know what it's like, or the feeling of somebody trying to kill you and you trying to kill them. And it's all on luck and practice on who gets killed first, but somebody's gonna get killed. Unless, there's some sort, it's an acid, and, we can get some information from this guy. Or the other guy can get some information from us. That we could be the one that's being captured. General Patton, guys, was a great man. The rumors about him being racist and things like that, that's just what's the word? Excuse me. That's just the way that he was taught. Nobody's really racist. It's just the way that they were taught. They were brought up, and especially in his time, that's the way it was. Right? There was a song in the 30s, I think, that made I don't know if it was the top 10, top 20, top 30, but it made the Billboard charts. And you know what that song called? What was the name of that song? And that is why the Blackies were born. That is the name of the song. That is why the Blackies were born. Which basically the song was talking about, that those who, grow the corn, those who do the cooking, those who do the hard work, those who do the labor, those who do this, those who do the cotton, that's why Blackies are born. It was on the Billboard hit list. That's the way they were born. But yes, guys, you have to put yourself in perspective. You don't know if somebody cuts you off. Don't try to get into the habit. I know it's not going to happen one night over the other, but try to get into the habit of saying, you know what? Play the what if game, right? The what if game. What if this guy is Russian? He just rushed me, almost crashed me. But what if he has an emergency? What if his wife is crying because she's about to go into labor? What if his wife is crying because she feels someone is in the house? Wouldn't you done that? Wouldn't you have done that? I wouldn't give a damn who it is. I wouldn't even give a damn if it was President Biden. And if the police stop me, I'll be, look, okay, leave me here, whatever. I don't care. But send somebody to my wife. I would take that risk. Now, there's gold in everybody. But for some people, there's more dirt than there is gold. And that's where the humane, leverage, the humane leverage can come out of you. You are a good person. You are a good person. You are a person of deserving. You're deserving the best in life. You're a good person. Why do you think you feel bad whenever you do something bad? Yeah, sometimes our unconscious mind, yeah, we're in some other stuff, and we're thinking of some other stuff that has nothing to do with what we have had in our mind. I have a best friend, my best friend for life. I know that if me and him would ever go ahead and get, in a fight with 7 other dudes, and it was just me and him, we will go ahead and be smart and say, where's the fucking exit? I'm sorry for my cursing, guys. It's a Wednesday. Where's the exit? How can we get out of here? If there's no exit and there's no way to get out of here, we're both getting beat up. Getting our shit kicked. And that's how we go. I've known this guy for so long that I'm 99.9.9.9.9% that he's gonna stick there with me, and we're just gonna get an ass beat. And the same thing with me. And I would just tell him right before they come rushing to us, I'll be like, look, we're gonna get our ass whooped. Let's just take it, try to cover your neck, try to cover your face, try to cover whatever you can that's, um, very, 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 you know what I mean. That it won't hurt you so bad. It won't cause any serious injuries. Um, I would go ahead and do that. And guess what? We're gonna get our ass beat. But they're gonna beat both of us. They're gonna beat the fuck out of both of us. I'm not just gonna go ahead and run to the wherever or whenever. He might run. I don't know. I doubt. He's my closest friend. I doubt he'll run. I mean, I'm not gonna go ahead and put myself in a situation where I'm gonna say, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be there 100%." No, no, he might run. He might run too. I don't know, but I'm 99.9% he wouldn't, because I know I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. My uncle told me a great lesson a long time ago. He's like, "Look, when you were your friends, no matter what it is, if you guys are gonna get beat up, if you're outnumbered, you know how kids, teenagers are, and so forth, and things like that. If you're gonna go ahead and get into these type of problems and you're outnumbered, you're gonna have to go ahead and take it up like a man. You know, if it's just two, three, four, five, six of you, but there's 20 of them, don't run away. And I mean, I guess that's more of one of the some of the strongest cultures manifesto, if you want to say. That's the way the culture is, because I know that's the way the Mexican culture is. I don't care who you are. If you're a Mexican I've never met before, we help you out. I remember one time my friend, um, there was a little ice cream man in where I'm from. The ice cream man, we have ice cream trucks as well, but mainly there's, especially in the hood, there's a little guys pushing a little cart with ice cream, right? And they sell ice cream all day. Well, one day they were walking by his street and he saw that these two individuals were trying to rob him. You know, they were of another color. I'm not gonna say what color. They could have been Chinese. They could have been African. They could have been Russian. They could have been, I don't know. But guess what he did? He got a big old machete. He showed them the machete. And because I don't want to get blocked on this channel, I'm going to say machete. But if you're smart enough, you probably understand what I'm talking about. So he showed them his machete, and they ran away. He told them, "Hey, come here," because his house is gated. His house is gated. He has a gate around his house. So he opened the gate real quick, told them come in because they were a little far away, but they were on their way. He got in. He went into his vehicle, got the machete, showed it to them. What's up? That's the way it goes, guys. You have to go ahead and one of the things that you have to go ahead and do is be loyal. You know, even if you're with somebody that you've never met before, no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter what religion, if you're with somebody and you're having a good time and you're hanging out and you're meeting each other for the first time, go ahead and make sure that if there's some shit that goes down, you're gonna go down with it. Bottom line. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If they push you, leave. You won, sir. Uh, you won. You won. I don't want no problems. But make sure you have that fearlessness in you. This is where training and jujitsu and everything and so forth. Practicing jujitsu, even if you're a big guy, it's very, very helpful. I would suggest jujitsu to anybody who's overweight. I mean, I would suggest it to anybody, but if you're overweight, jujitsu is so life changing because I've seen people who are bodybuilders. I've seen people who are not bodybuilders, but they're skinny, but they're like 0.01 fat, right? They're athletic. They got, I mean, these guys look like Superman. You know, they get choked out. They get, they lose their breath within seconds of what they call a row. A row is when you're with somebody and you're wrestling. Within couple seconds, 3 seconds, they tap out. You're talking about bodybuilders, people who are security guards, people who are protecting, these huge celebrities that you see them big talk security guards. Within 3 seconds, I swear. Don't believe me? Go on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Bodybuilders, people who may not be as big, but they're skinny, but they're lean, and you could tell that they do everything. They do the shake, they do the no fat meal, they do the rice, whatever the heck they do. A skinny little guy who has little to no muscle takes them out within 3 to 5 seconds. And don't think just because you're overweight that you cannot do jujitsu. No, that's not the way jujitsu works. Learn what jujitsu is. Trust me, you will never. I mean, you will never lose a fight because and this is not to promote violence. This is protective. This is defensive. This is defensive. This is for defense. Avoid a fight at any cost. If they push you, leave. If they throw all the stuff in your table, leave. Avoid confrontation. Every single military top-notch MFer will tell you the same thing. Now, if they grabbed you If they grab you, I'm talking about they grab you, now it's on. But if they push you, if they go like this, maybe even they go like that, leave. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Trust me. You got to be smart about this. And really, these situations rarely happen. But it's just something that, I mean, this podcast, I want it to be just like anything that comes up to the mind. It's like I'm having a conversation with you. You know how you have conversation with friends? You know how you have conversations with people, and sometimes they last 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Some of these podcasts may last. I'm gonna try to keep it no lesser than 45 minutes. 45 minutes and up at least. My goal is an hour. But sometimes this thing may go 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Who knows? It just depends on the mood. It just depends on the amount of things that I want to talk about. I'm gonna start getting articles ready so we can talk about world news and see what's going on, so you can get informative. So for those who do like the way that I talk and the way that I express myself and the podcast, you can go ahead and get your news here. So, but mainly my podcast is really just a talk. I really don't want to put a title on it, um, and so forth. But if you do want to put a title on it, it's more like, motivation, inspiration, knowledge, being the best version of yourself. And you don't have to be no bodybuilder looking great. Like, hey man, you're overweight. Why are you teaching people how to be the best version of themselves? That's because I don't want to say the word. I don't want to say the word. Come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Was Donald Trump skinny? He had a beautiful wife. Was Socrates skinny? Was Napoleon skinny? Was Genghis Khan skinny? See, you don't know these things because you don't read history. You just read whatever you see on YouTube, a little 10-minute video, and that's it. And that's what that's, or maybe somebody told you, oh yeah, man, this is that. That's why I say readers are leaders, and those who become readers become leaders. I mean, those who become readers become leaders. Read a book, man. Listen to an audiobook. Listen to a podcast. Feed the brain. Get yourself in a different set of thinking. If you have what Zig Ziglar, R.I.P., said, if you have stinking thinking, is because you're feeding the wrong things to your mind. But once you start reading daily, once you start listening to podcasts daily, once you start listening to positive information daily, once you start seeing other people's opinions on things, you will start making your own world, and you're going to make it into a better world. Okay? All right, guys, I want to talk a little bit about some spirituality, some mode, so you can go ahead and understand the beingness of it all. What it really comes down to. These are the type of concepts that we teach here in Ulosophy. Remember, there's a difference in believing something and the ego, if I can explain myself right. Believing something is you are. The ego is the mind. Okay? So believe in something. I believe I have 5 fingers in this hand.
There's no doubt I have 5 fingers in this hand. I have no doubt. There's nothing that you can convince me to tell me that I don't have 5 fingers in my hand right now. That's believing. The mind is ego. It tries to go ahead and capture reality. It tries to go ahead and constantly reaches out for the truth, for love, for God, because it's fear of its life. It feels that it's separated. It feels like it's separated from the true oneness, right? Now, knowingness, the best way that you can believe something, that you can, another word for believing is knowing. You know, if I tell you what's your name, you're going to tell me straight up. You're going to, without a doubt, you're not going to be like, let me think about it. I think it starts with an F. No, you're going to tell me your name straight up. Knowingness and believing is the same thing. Knowingness and believing comes to you. Okay, in other words, if you want to know something or really believe in something, you have to experience it firsthand. Firsthand personal experience brings you total awareness, 100% of knowingness and believing. So if you want to believe that you are going to be successful, if you believe you're going to go ahead, if you know you're going to have a great marriage, a great relationship, you're going to meet a great person, you're going to have great wealth, you're going to travel the world, you're going to eat great cuisine, you're going to have great relationship with your family, you're going to live a very longevitous life, your parents, your family is going to be very well off. If you believe, if you know this, if you believe this, you have to know this. And for you to know this, you have to experience it firsthand. And how do you experience things like this firsthand? How can you experience something that you're trying to achieve? So if you want all these things in your life, how can you experience them first before you actually can gather up the knowingness to live it, to experience it? Well, that is what the spiritual texts are there for. That is why there's the Bible, there's the text from the Vedas, there's the text from the ancient Chinese, the Buddhist, the Hindus. I could go on and on. The Jewish, they all talk about it. They all talk about it, you know. I'll explain more about this in future lessons. I talk about this in the Ulosophy Club, by the way. We talk about this, about spiritual concepts that will blow your mind. And if I tell you how I got it, it will even blow your mind even more. You are not a body. You are not a body. You think you are, but you're not. Those thoughts that you think you are, they're not you. You're nothingness. You're pure love. You're an extension of God. You're not your body. Okay? You're eternal, you're non-physical, and you're formless. So there's nothing that can go ahead and pinpoint you out. There's nothing that can defeat you. There's nothing that can go ahead and destroy you. There's nothing that can go ahead and erase you. You're an extension of the pure godness that the Almighty God is. You're an extension of that. Now, you, the self, you have a mind. In other words, an ego. Which you actually need if you're in this physical form of existence.
because we live in a material world. I don't care how much times you pray a day. At the end of the day, God's going to bless you with money, but at the end of the day, you're going to need money. Prayer is not going to go ahead and buy your food. You're going to need money. We live in a material world, so you need your ego. Now, ideas, thoughts, reality itself, things you call truth, that tell you that your ego is not the only and most important aspect of reality. And in fact, the only thing that is real is a threat to the mind's ego, to the mind's ego actual existence. So anything that tells you that you see this 5 hands, but science tells us E equals MC squared. Everything is made of energy. Everything is made of atoms. Atoms are made of protons and neutrons, and those protons and neutrons have a little small particle called an electron that surrounds it over and over and over and over again. What makes that electron surround itself over and over again around that atom or those protons and neutrons? Where's the energy coming from? Science can't even explain it yet. So any sort of thoughts like that are a threat to the ego or the mind, because the mind wants to attach itself to the actual thing that it can feel, that the actual thing it can smell, the actual thing it can see, the actual thing it can touch, the 5 senses. Without the 5 senses, the ego dies. And that's the last thing it wants. Now, whenever you bring it ideas, realities, information from books, religious text, advice from great friends, love from your family, love from your wife, love from your kids, love from your loved ones, that's a threat to the ego as well, believe it or not, because the ego does not. It's almost as if it's in competition with you, saying, you believe in love? Like, that thing doesn't exist. Don't you realize that we don't see it? Don't you realize that it's not there? I can't touch it. I can't eat it. I can't smell it. But at the same time, it also operates out of fear, because it feels separated from source, almost like, the story about the angel that was cast down, that felt that it did not belong. It was one of the most beautiful things, but then it turned against God because it wanted to be God. Doesn't our ego sound like that? I'm going to read you a great quote. You, the self, operate out of love. You, self, have no fear, for you know that you are not, never have been, and never will be separated from love, God, light, source, as you are an extension of, a part of, and one with source. You are source. Thus you, self-known, you cannot ever be separated from source or God. You have 100% certainty of this fact. You self know that you self are eternal. The survival is certainly of this fact. You self know that you self are eternal. The survival is not a consideration. You self are pure love. Love is not a driving force and has no driving force. It is simply a state of being. You self simply are just as God is. Anytime you try to do something, that's not who you really are. And you're going to say, oh, it's laziness. No, it's not laziness. It's more of a state of it's happened.
It's occurred. It's done. It's finished. That's why the Bible, the story of Jesus resonates so much for me, because it's the, out of everything I've read, is the closest thing that makes sense to me, that actually is pure proof of spirituality, which I talk about this in the Ulosophy Club. So if you want to join the Ulosophy Club, guys, go ahead and reach us, DM us, let us know, hey, I want to be part of the club. What can I do? Go DM me on Twitter, DM me on Instagram, DM me on TikTok, or send me an email at ulosophy1@gmail.com. I love you guys. All right, guys. So this is something I'm going to do maybe a couple times a week. And that's go over words. And when I say go over words, I mentioned this before, and the actual definition of what I'm talking about is lighting up words. I'm going to teach you how to light up words. I'm going to go over the process with you so you can go ahead and learn to light up words. And once you learn to light up words, your life will dramatically change. Imagine saying something and actually believing it. For example, let's say you say, I won $1,000. You may feel like you really believe it, and if you do, you're gonna get it. If you feel some sort of tension, like you feel good for a millisecond, but then the next second tells you, or your mind tells you, no, you're not gonna get it. The reason that occurs is because your vocabulary, or more of your understanding of the physical energy, which in this material world, our energy is our communication, our understanding of the energies. For example, if I say I'm running, that feeling of me picturing running, it's an energy. It creates, chemicals are going through my brain, an energy fusion is going on. Okay? So lighting up words means that you know the definition of the word, you know where it has come from, you know the root definition of it, and you know the places that it has traveled to or traveled through. So, for example, let's say a word traveled from Middle English, then to Anglo, then it transferred to Anglo French, then it moved into Latin, right? And that's where the root word would be at, in the Latin. And it would have a different definition than what the definition of it is right now, but that was a different word. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right. But once we go through the process of lighting up words, you will understand. Now, another thing, the more words you light up, the more you will be able to express yourself. The number one reason, in my opinion, for violence, for negative emotion, for suffering, for this, anything that we just don't want in our lives, is because we cannot express ourselves. Have you ever wondered why you haven't gotten that raise that you always wanted and you know you deserve? Maybe you just don't know how to express yourself. Why? Because you're in fear. But there's nothing to be fearful about if you know the real definitions of words. You can go ahead and come up with words that will have no fear or little fear. And you won't feel that big, tense, stress feeling like I'm about to go and ask my boss for a raise. Your emotions will loosen, will dramatically reduce. So the things that you are willing to go ahead and say to people will go ahead, and have that confidence behind it. I see this happen a lot with people that I work with, especially in the Ulosophy Club. Again, if you want to be a member, DM me Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, or email us at ulosophy1@gmail.com. Not guaranteed that you'll get in, but you can try. This happens a lot with guys, males in our club. They start lighting up words and lighting up words and lighting up words and lighting up words. Suddenly, they're able to express themselves in a way that is not as fearful as it was in the beginning. Have you ever noticed that certain people have certain confidence whenever they talk? They have a certain certainty about them. When you look into their eyes, when you look at their posture, where you look at their body language, they have some sort of confidence. Why? Because they know how to express themselves very correctly. They know the words that they are using. They know the meanings of the words that they are using. And they know that certain words, because you just don't know how to communicate, or you just don't know, you don't have a good vocabulary, you just choose the closest word that may define what you're trying to say. That may not be the correct word that you should be using. It may cause you more stress. It may cause your confidence to go down. It may cause you fear. It may cause you, oh man, what if this happens? But like I'm saying, many men in our club, one thing that I keep hearing over and over again, and these are the single members that are single. They're trying to find a partner. They, many of them, they basically were shy to the max. And they're like, I just don't know how to communicate with a woman. Like, if I see a woman, like, I don't know exactly what to say, what to do. Very simple. You just need to go ahead and increase your vocabulary. You need to start lighting up words. And this is something that you will do for a lifetime, right? Unless you light up all the words in the world. But come on. This is something, the more words that you light up, the better your life will be. These people light up the words, they light up the words, they light up the words. Suddenly, they see a beautiful woman, a beautiful gal in the store, in the pharmacy, at church, jogging, I don't know. They have enough vocabulary knowledge for them to go ahead and choose the right words that will not sound so how can I say it, will not sound so rough, and it won't sound so deconfident, if I can explain myself. The words that he will use will be words that he is very confident in, because one, he knows the definition of the word. He knows how long it has traveled. He knows the root word of the actual word. He knows the definition of that root word. He knows the entire word to its fullness. So when he says the word is different than when you say the word. If I say the word tree, you think of a tree. But what is the root word of a tree? How far has the word tree traveled from? Did it come from Anglo-French? Did it come from Middle English? What is the root word? It's a Latin word. Once you know all this information, you know the root word. Words will have a different meaning, and you will use your words wisely. This is why in the Bible and in many ancient spiritual texts, it talks about the same thing. The power of life and death is in the tongue. This is why it says it. For centuries, for hundreds of years, there's been wizards, warlocks, witches, unfortunately burned at the stake because they thought that was of the devil and so forth. And it may be, I don't know. But one thing that I'm like, that I have come
to find out that you know what they did, I was surprised. They light up words. They lighted up words. Why did they light up words? That's how they would make their spells. See, when you light up words and you know the full definition of the words that you're about to use, the energy, the passion, the motivation, the chemicals that will go through your brain will be so massive that that thing that you're trying to manifest, if you want to say, ultimately will have to happen, especially if you use those words over and over and over and over and over again. Now, they used to do it, and they still do it at certain times. The moon has to be a certain light, it has to be a new moon, so forth, so forth. Look, I mean, Jesus prayed at, at night. Jesus prayed in the morning. Jesus prayed, in the garden right before being crucified. Prayer is prayer. But when you light up words and you know the definition, they're much stronger. So back to the warlocks, wizards, witches. They light up words. So once they light up words, they know the real definition of the word. So the energy carried, the more energy is carried within those words. So when they repeat them over and over again, especially if voicely they speak it out through their mouths, because remember, vibration comes out of the mouth, goes into your ear, and then it goes into your bone, and then it goes into your DNA. That is why, if you ever want to learn, if you want to be a master, you have to teach. You have to teach it, even if it's just to yourself. Pretend you have a class and you're teaching a class, because that's the best way to learn something. Now, once they get all these words that they're, for example, let's say a person comes to them, as it has done for hundreds of years, that they used to be the doctors of back in the day. Let's say a mother comes with, desperately to this lady that's a witch, and her son is sick. They can't find a remedy, and wants the witch to see if she can help them out. So they say, all right, I'll make a spell for you. I'll do a spell for you. I'll do a ritual for you. So what she would do is she would go ahead and pick certain words that match the energy of health for the boy. Get his essence, right? For example, that's why many times they would ask for like a little piece of hair. They would ask for a picture of the person. What it meant throughout history, it wasn't pictures, but they would ask for something of his essence, a fingernail, a piece of clothing that he wears, something that is his. And then they would pick these certain amount of words, and they would make a prayer. And this lady, the witch, would go ahead and pray over the child with these words. But remember, she already got to the point that she lighted up the words, so she knows the definition. She knows where it has come from. She knows where it has traveled to. She knows the root word of the word, the definition. She knows the actual definition. She actually knows several definitions of that word. She knows, she's even putting it in a sentence so she could go ahead and get even a better understanding of the word. She knows that word like the back of her hand, in other words. That carries more energy to the word than just saying it. And when you do this more and more and more and more and more, you choose your words more wisely. You see what I'm saying? So that is why And guess what? The child will get better. Why? How? The energy that those words were carried. The lady that lighted up the words made the prayer. You know, she could go ahead, and this is a secret that is why you see many people who practice like this witchcraft and everything, and they say that, you know, like in the History Channel has a lot of documentaries on this, and they always say the same thing. They say this is something that we can teach you. This is something that has come through centuries. This is not just, oh yeah, I'm gonna become a witch, or I'm gonna become a wizard, and so forth. And I'm not saying to become a wizard or a witch. I'm a Christian. Philosophy is built on a Christian foundation. I'm just giving you an example of how this is done, because we live in a physical world. Some of these principles work in all realms, including the evil. Okay? That's how curses have come about as well. So what I'm teaching you is a secret that has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries that you can't even imagine. But this is something that very few people now know, and not a lot of people know. So we're gonna go ahead and start doing that, guys, and I'm gonna teach you the process so you can go ahead and start doing it on your own, especially anytime you run into a word that you do not understand. Anytime you run into a word that you do not understand, please go ahead and look up the definition. You have a phone, it's done within 3 seconds. You can look up the word. I would prefer if you write it down on a piece, like on a notebook, handwritten, cursive, even better. Write down the definition, write down the word, write down the definition, write down the root word of that word. What is the root word? Write down the definition of the root word. In the dictionary, it'll tell you where it has traveled from, like from Middle English to Anglo-French to Latin, and it'll tell you where the root word was from. And go ahead, and many times they have like 2 or 3 different definitions for that word. So go ahead and write that down, and then also write down a sentence with that word. If you write 2, even better. The more understanding, the more you want the essence of the word that is in you, is in your DNA, the better that word will have power. So that's what lighting up words is. Okay? So I have hundreds of words that I have lighting up throughout my time, and I'm still lighting up words anytime I come across them. I mean, it could be anything. Like, do you know the word folder? How many times do we use the word folder? Quite a lot. Do you know where it has come from? Do you know the root word of it? Do you know where it has traveled from? Do you know the second definition of folder? Do you know the third definition of folder? Have you put it in a sentence before? I mean, this is the more you're able to express yourself, the more confidence you will have, the better your relationships will be, the less angry you will get, the less negative emotion you will feel, because you're able to express yourself. The reason you feel anger, the reason you feel negative emotions, is because you're having trouble expressing yourself. You don't know how to express yourself. So many of these emotions get bottled in. That is why in prisons, whenever they allow inmates to do like art, maybe like paint or work with their hands, what occurs? they become less violent, or the violence completely stops, because now they're able to go ahead and let it all out. Because their vocabulary is very, very poor, they can't express themselves. So they get in a rage. But if you're able to express yourself through art, through your hands, through lighting up words, then it works. So we will do this, guys. I will give you more on this in the coming future, but we're going to start lighting up words